Bienvenidos al segundo video. This is the second of two videos to finish reviewing the worksheet on pronombres. We left off in the first video with número 13, and here we will continuar con 14, 15, 16, 17, y terminamos con 18. And number 14, they're late because their car broke down. If we examine more closely the main idea in this sentence, they did not break their car broke down. In other words, something happened, it doesn't work anymore, it doesn't function. Something is mechanically wrong with it. We very much understand that they didn't do it on purpose, so this is an example of the accidental occurrence. Están tardes porque se les rompió su coche. As you recall from earlier examples, in the accidental occurrence, we use a combination of two pronouns. The reflexive, in this case, se, and the indirect, les. Now, when we use the accidental occurrence, we are always going to have the reflexive pronoun se, because we are always talking about something that accidentally happened. In other words, it's always going to equate to él, ella, usted version or ellos, ellas, ustedes, a singular or a plural version. And we know that in reflexive pronouns, those are always se. So in this case, se rompió. Right? The car broke down on itself. And who did it affect? Les, which is going back to the implied subject ellos. So once again, número 14 is an example of the accidental occurrence. 15. I just sent you the budget, so drop me a line if you have any questions about it. Now, it may seem like we have a lot going on here, and yes, we do have several different pronoun uses going on here, but if we break it down, we can better understand what's going on. So, I just sent you the budget. What did I send? Well, we sent the budget, and that's our direct object, but we are not looking to replace that with a pronoun. In this case, we're wanting to look more at who did I send it to? You, an indirect object. So, next, drop me a line. That is an idiomatic expression in English. We do not have some sort of line that we have in our hands and are dropping it. That is more an expression meaning to call me, contact me, or something along those lines. And last, if you have any questions about it, what is it? If we look back at all the parts of the sentence, we'll see that it goes back to budget. This it is a pronoun after preposition. So let's look in Espanol at each part individually. You is our indirect, and I can express this in two different ways. Acabo de mandarte, and please look back to your vocabulary list for the expression acabar de an infinitive, which means to have just done something. So I can say acabo de mandarte, putting the indirect object pronoun at the end of the infinitive, or I can go back to the original rule of pronoun placement, and I can put it before the conjugated verb, te acabo de mandar. For the part, drop me a line, which we have here, our little expression meaning to contact me, we can look at this as a command. And if you're using drop me a line, you are, chances are, talking to someone informally. In other words, the voice of tú. So I have llámame. Now, since I am using a command, I do not have any option other than to put the me at the end of the command. In this case, llama. And since I did put a pronoun at the end, I have to include an accent right here over a. So I have the first two uses of pronouns, acabo de mandarte or te acabo de mandar el presupuesto. Entonces llámame si tienes alguna pregunta sobre, and here the el, the pronoun after preposition referring back to the singular masculine el presupuesto. If we put it all together, acabo de mandarte el presupuesto, entonces llámame si tienes alguna pregunta sobre él. 16. I knew I had to call her, but I forgot. We do have a few previous items other than pronouns that we have in número 16. I knew. I knew is a version of the past of to know, and when we're talking about information, remember that if you knew something in the past, that's the imperfect. I had to call her. This is a past version of tener que, of that expression. But in the context of this whole sentence, I knew I had to call her, but I forgot, it more means I was supposed to. By saying I forgot, that implies that I never actually followed through. And when we are talking about something that we were supposed to do but didn't necessarily do it, we use the imperfect. So, yo sabía que tenía que llamarla. And the idea of her, this is our first pronoun in here. Who did I call? Her, which is my direct object. And la will be my direct object pronoun. Once again, with the presence of an infinitive, I can attach the pronoun to the end and get llamarla, or I can go back to my standard rule and put la in front of the conjugated verb tenía. The last part, I forgot. And many native speakers will interpret the idea of forgetting as accidental. So I'm going to use the accidental occurrence structure here. In this case, the whole concept of whatever it was is understood to be singular, so se olvidó. And who did it affect? In this case, me. Se me olvidó. The combination of the reflexive se right here and then the indirect object me. 17. I filled out the form, but I still haven't faxed it to them. So here, once again, I do have a previous structure, still have not, which we should recall is right down here, todavía no. Alright, so I still haven't faxed it to them. What did I not fax? It. The form, to whom? To them. So, I have the concept of a direct object pronoun and an indirect object pronoun. So to fill out is the verb llenar. Llené la forma. Pero todavía no se la mandé por fax. Yes, there is no special verb to fax. It is mandar por fax. I want to go back to the two pronouns, se la. Now, we know that if we have both a direct and an indirect, we put the indirect object pronoun first, followed by the direct. But we also know that them, in this case, the indirect object to them, would be replaced by les, while la is our direct. We know that we cannot combine les with lo or la or los or las. In other words, we cannot combine a pronoun that begins with L with another pronoun that begins with L. So the les was changed out for se to facilitate the pronunciation of this sentence. And since I do have only a conjugated verb, the standard rule applies where both pronouns go before. 18. Where's your phone? Please give it to me now and don't say a word. What we have going on here is a command. And judging by the tone of this command, once again, you're talking to someone you know. It's un mandato informal. ¿Dónde está tu móvil? And móvil is one of the words. Celular is another one. Both of those words are masculine. Por favor, dámelo ahora. So, my command is da. And since I do have a command and I am using pronouns, we know that we do have to put the pronouns attached at the end of the command, making one word, dámelo. And since I did add pronouns to the end, I acquired the accent over the A to make sure I maintain the pronunciation of the original command, which is da. So, por favor, dámelo ahora y no digas nada. Here I have a negative command, so that explains the subjunctive digas, and also referring back to a previous structure, don't say a word, or think of it, don't say anything. That is in Spanish our double negative, no nada. So no digas nada. Okay, that concludes the review of our worksheet, and please do let me know if you do have any additional questions. Gracias chicos por su atención y hasta luego.